19 years? That's how long he had waited, how long he had believed, known that he was robbed of his daughter. And today, Mr. Wheat stood in court, ready to reclaim what he had lost and make up for 19 years of lost time.
Mr. Wheat, you filed your case because you claim you've been robbed as a father. You are desperate to prove to the defendant that you fathered her 19-year-old daughter, Sierra Sloan, and once you want to make up for lost time. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Across the courtroom, Ms. Grider stood with a knowing expression. She had heard his claims before and had hoped, once upon a time, that he was the father too. But the truth wasn't built on hope. Facts would settle the matter once and for all.
Ms. Grider, you say, as much as you would like the plaintiff to be your daughter's biological father, facts are facts, and he isn't her dad. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Then there was Sierra, the young woman caught in this paternity storm. 19 years of uncertainty, 19 years of never really knowing where she came from. She had doubts, but today, she would get her answer.
Ms. Sloan, you say you are the victim in this paternity chaos and deserve to know who your dad is.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Wheat's voice trembled with emotion as he spoke about everything he had missed. First words, first steps, school plays, birthdays, graduations. He had imagined a life where he had been there, where his daughter had grown up knowing his name, his voice, his love. But instead, he was a stranger, fighting to prove his place in her life. And he was convinced that Sierra was his.
Mr. Wheat, you testified that you were robbed as a father. Explain.
Yes, Your Honor. I believe she is mine. So I want her to make up for all the lost time so she can meet her sisters.
And so what does it feel like knowing that you may have missed 19 years of your daughter's life?
It's hurtful, very hurtful.
But Ms. Grider had her own version of events. She was 19, young and reckless, living in the moment without thinking about consequences. And let's just say those moments weren't spent with just one man. No, there were four potential fathers.
Ms. Grider, so you say, unfortunately, as much as you would like your daughter to be Mr. Wheat's biological child, you just say she is not.
Right.
Explain
Your
to
Honor.
the court why you are so certain.
Because I was 19, I was young, dumb, and full of eggs, and I was doing me.
One of her boyfriends was her live-in boyfriend at the time. Another was a man she met through mutual friends. Then there was Mr. Wheat, a one-night encounter, a fleeting moment in a Texas nightlife club. And the fourth? Well, let's just say Texas nightlife had a way of making things complicated.
How many guys were you with during the window of time your daughter was conceived?
4.
4 different guys, and Mr. Wheat is one of them.
Yes.
So can you tell the court, how is it you were with these guys?
One of them was my boyfriend. He was living with me at the time, and he went away.
When she found out she was pregnant, she did what she thought was right. She told them all, every single one of them. But only one man had been there when Sierra was born. Only one man had stepped up, signed the birth certificate, and taken responsibility. And it wasn't Mr. Wheat. That, she argued, was the truth, and DNA wasn't going to change it.
So when Sierra was born, you were there.
Yes, ma'am. I was in the doctor.
Signed the birth certificate.
Yes, ma'am.
You named her.
Yes, ma'am. After a Chevy truck.
See, that wasn't me.
Still a beautiful name, Sierra. So, Mr. Wheat, I see your emotion here. I see your face because as I talk about all of these memories and naming her and all of this.
For years, Sierra had lived in the shadows of uncertainty. She had been raised by Mac Grider, the man who claimed her as his own, but deep down, she needed the truth. She needed to know who her real father was, and that truth was now written in black and white.
Mr. Wheat, you are not the father.
Despite Mr. Wheat's numerous claims and undiluted convictions, science has spoken. Mr. Wheat had come to court expecting justice. What he got was heartbreak. Now, Mr. Grider, the man who had been there from the beginning, can go home with the family knowing that Mr. Wheat's claim of his daughter is in the past. But first, the judge had to read the second result just to fulfill all righteousness.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Grider, you are not the father.
This is Miss Lockridge, a determined mother, and Mr. Tidwell, a man convinced he's been wrongly accused of fatherhood. The stakes? A 10-month-old baby boy named King, and a DNA test that will finally put the debate to rest. Miss Lockridge isn't just here for answers, but for accountability. She says she's 100% certain that Tidwell is the father, and she's had enough of his absence.
Ms. Lockridge, you've dragged the defendant, Mr. Tidwell, to court because he has refused to acknowledge your 10-month-old son, King. You are 100% sure he's the father and claim today's results will prove your case.
But Tidwell isn't buying it. He suspects that Ms. Lockridge is up to something. He claims they were never in a serious relationship, just casual hookups, and he was completely blindsided when she dropped the pregnancy news.
Mr. Tidwell, you say you were never in a serious relationship with Ms. Lockridge, and you were stunned when she told you she was pregnant. The timing leads you to suspect that baby King's father must be another man.
According to Ms. Lockridge, he hasn't lifted a finger to help with diapers or clothes, yet he had the nerve to name the child King. The irony isn't lost on her. How is she supposed to raise a king without his father in the picture? However, Tidwell suspects there's another man in the picture.
Rich, tell me about Mr. Tidwell's relationship with your son.
Your Honor, Mr. Tidwell does not have a relationship with my son. The only time he's actually seen my son is when I've made it a convenience for him and brought him to him. That means traveling 4 hours on bus, driving 2 hours on the car to drive to him. He hasn't helped with diapers. He barely helped with any clothes, and it hurts. It's frustrating. He named my son King.
As the courtroom heats up, we get two completely different stories. Lockridge insists they were in a relationship for at least a year, while Tidwell says it was nothing more than 6 years of casual flings. And then there's the bombshell. She left town for 2 years and had another child. Tidwell suggests that the child could be his too, but Lockridge shuts that down immediately.
So take me back to this relationship. I want to understand all
There
this.
was no relationship.
Just, what, casual sex?
Yes.
We were on and off for 6 years. We were together for my understanding, how he led me to believe I was single, or I was with him in a committed relationship for at least a year. And then I was my side, my personal opinion. We were together for a year.
Then comes the real drama. How did he find out about the pregnancy? He didn't hear it from her directly. She left an ultrasound and a note on his bed. No conversation, no warning, just a silent bombshell. Tidwell says this only fueled his doubts. Why not tell him face to face?
You said she's done some things that make you feel like you weren't the only person she was sleeping with at time
I wasn't,
King
Your
was
Honor.
conceived. Tell the court.
She has another guy that she was sleeping with, not personally, but we weren't.
There was nobody else.
We weren't
Snoop,
in a-
I'm not gonna drive. I'm not gonna ride the bus 4 hours.
We were not
Take
in a
3
serious
buses to
relationship
come
or
sleep
no
with you
type
if I
of-
got.
Tidwell maintains that another man is responsible for the pregnancy, and she's trying to pin it on him. Lockridge disagrees. She told the court that she was afraid of his reaction and didn't want a scene in front of his brother.
Ms. Lockridge, you leave the ultrasound picture in the note. You agree to
Oh,
that?
I totally did, because he invited his brother over. His brother was there. That's the sole purpose why I did not tell him I was pregnant. This
Or
is how
call
you
me-
react. I'm not fixing to have this reaction in front of your brother when I find out I'm finally pregnant. I finally get something from you.
Lockridge says she went to great lengths to be with Tidwell. 4-hour bus rides, countless messages, even recordings of their baby's heartbeat. But when it came time to give birth, she did it alone. 36 grueling hours in labor, no father in sight. Tidwell says that's not his fault. He had a job and wasn't about to drop everything for a child he wasn't even sure was his.
During that time, is he participating at all?
Not at all. Not at all. He didn't care about. I texted him when I was every doctor's appointment, all my weight gains, the weight changes. I even sent him voice recordings of the heartbeat, all that, like the works. When I had my son, I was in labor for 36 hours. Completely by myself, to the point where the nurse that was with me.
The judge had to call on Deborah, Tidwell's mother, to get more insight into Ms. Lockridge's relationship with her son. But as expected, she sided with her son despite her son admitting to being intimate with Lockridge.
Mr. Tidwell's mother.
Yes.
What do you believe, ma'am? Do you believe this is your grandson?
She is very obsessed with my son.
I am not obsessed. I was in love with him.
All she talked about is how much she wants to be with him and how she's got a prayer closet at home for him.
Now all the back and forth is about to be settled once and for all. Ms. Lockridge seems to have some merits. Is Tidwell baby King's father, or has Lockridge been fighting the wrong battle all along? The DNA test results are in.
Mr. Tidwell are not his father.
Mercedes Henderson had grown up believing Walter Henderson was her father. She carried his last name and waited for the warmth of acceptance that never came. Instead, she was treated differently from her siblings. It gnawed at her. Deep inside, she always knew something was off.
Ms. Henderson, you claim that you believed Mr. Henderson was your biological father, but at the age of 15, Mr. Rycraw claimed he is your dad. You are doubtful and have opened today's case to get the truth.
And then, at 15, another name surfaced, William Rycraw. There are people that come hoping to be the father. That's not William. He wasn't just some man from the past. He was convinced. He knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that she was his child.
Mr. Rycraw, you say you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that Ms. Henderson is your daughter. You are here with her mother's twin sister, who claims that she too is certain you are the biological father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
He had been waiting, hoping. The connection was instant when they met, or so he believed. You know that feeling when you see what is yours? Okay, you don't know, but still, William held her like a long-lost daughter. But Mercedes needed more than feelings. She needed proof.
Start with you. How has life been without knowing who your father is?
You know, it's lonely. My kids, they want to know their grandparents. And my daughter, she tells me all the time, Mom, we're going to find your dad. So, you know, I'm just ready. I want to be close to somebody. I want to be close to them.
Her Aunt Sharon, twin sister to Mercedes' late mother, stood firmly in William's corner. Sharon has seen similarities between William and Mercedes. Her late sister told her that William was Mercedes' father and that she was certain that the DNA would agree.
And then just to know that my sister's resting in her grave and that my niece needs to know who her family really is. I mean, I just need to know too for sure so she can get a peace of mind so we can all move on. But the point is, either way it go.
And then there was Walter, the man she had called her father her entire life. He had been married to her mother. So why did he doubt it? His answer was chilling. She had left California to visit family in Arkansas. When she returned, she was suddenly pregnant. Walter had his suspicions, but instead of demanding the truth, he made a cruel bargain.
Cheated, or you assume this is my baby? She was pregnant before she left.
Well, Your Honor, actually, when I talked to her, I told her, if it's the girl, it's ours. It's the boy, you gotta go.
Oh, so you had an inkling, you had a suspicion.
That it wasn't mine.
Are you on the birth certificate?
No.
He never asked for a test, never fought to be sure. Walter had taken her in, but always at arm's length. He was a father on paper, but probably not in heart. Still, the past often comes calling when you least expect it. However, the biggest revelation was yet to come.
My sister, when it comes to telling the truth on certain things, they'll beat around the bush. And like she didn't answer him when she came back, she didn't tell her the truth either.
Why do you think your sister didn't tell the truth?
Mercedes' mother had been involved with both men, her husband Walter and William, the secret lover. Their affair was a hushed-up scandal buried beneath years of deception. Sharon, the aunt, had always known. But was it her place to tell? But now, no more secrets, no more lies. The results are in, and the judge starts with the secret lover.
Relates to this other gentleman. The probability of paternity was determined to be 0.00%. He's not your biological father.
Get the medic. Get the medic.
Someone call the medic, please.
Well, that leaves either Henderson or William as the father. Could Mercedes' aunt be telling the truth about William? If she is, how does she start navigating the relationship? Is Mr. Henderson about to lose someone he had accepted as his daughter all this while?
Mr. Henderson, you are not the father.
It appears Mercedes' aunt might be saying the truth after all. Twins share a deep bond, so it's safe to say her sister has been real with her. A single piece of paper held the truth Mercedes had been waiting her whole life for. Nothing can go wrong now.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Rycroft, you are not the father.
You are, Dad.
I'm so sorry.
Monica Myers had spent her entire life in the dark, haunted by a question that no child should ever have to ask. Who is my father? Not once, not twice, but 13 times, her mother had thrown out different names, each a potential answer. But today, the guessing game would finally end. Today, science would expose the truth.
Ms. Myers, you have brought your mother, Ms. Madrigal, to court today because you claim she has no idea who your biological father is. You say your mother gave you a list of 13 possible men, and you are hoping to determine who your father is today.
Two men sat in court, both summoned for the same reason, both waiting to hear if they had unknowingly fathered a daughter. For one of them, this day would be a life-changing revelation. But for Monica, this was about more than just biology. This was about closure, about knowing where she came from. Her mother, Samantha Madrigal, stood beside her, almost amused.
You admit to having a laundry list of potential fathers, but hope today answers your daughter's lifelong question. Now, Ms. Myers,
Ms. Myers had been robbed of a father, but worse, she had been robbed of certainty. As a child, she had always felt different, not truly belonging. She had begged her mother for answers, only to be met with half-truths and dismissive laughs.
circumstances that started your search for your biological father.
When I was 13 years old, I had a father figure in my life, and he died at that age. And you know, when he died, I needed closure. I needed somebody to be there.
Samantha had been young and reckless, living fast, unconcerned about consequences. And now, decades later, that past has come knocking. But even now, she brushed it off. The 13 men? Exaggeration? Fabrication? Monica disagreed. These weren't ghosts. They were real, flesh and blood men who had no idea they might have a daughter.
Madrigal, as you're giving your daughter this list, and I do not mean this in a joking way,
right? You
couldn't narrow it down from 13?
You know, the 13 that she's named is like 13 ghosts. It's fabricated.
What about Pick Any Man in Seattle?
Monica might be hurting, but her mother, Samantha, feels that this whole exercise is fruitless. She had been a good mother, and her husband had been a great father to Monica, so she finds it difficult to understand what Monica's problems were exactly.
Came from, I don't know, nothing.
He came from me.
Yeah,
Doesn't
I knew
matter.
you're half of the
Doesn't
family,
matter.
but that's only half
Nobody
the story.
else matters.
That's
Can't
only
no
half
man,
the story.
Can't no man raise you better than you can, even though it doesn't even matter.
You raised
so
me?
save it.
You
save
raised
it.
me?
Oh, I raised you.
No, you didn't.
I raised you.
You weren't
Monica,
even there.
stop
So
it.
anyways.
Ms. Myers, you claim that you left home when you were 15 years old.
Yeah, I did.
One of them, Keith McCraney, walked into the courtroom with a smirk. He had come in with his daughter who looked set for a fight. Keith remembered that night well, 3 minutes to be exact. That was how long it had taken. And after those 3 minutes...
Mr. McCraney, thank you for coming to join us and submitting to the paternity testing. I want to ask you first, you do know Ms. Myers' mom, Ms. Madrigal.
Yes, I did.
Please state how you met her.
You know, we got together, she came over, she told me she thought I was sexy, whatever, good looking. Okay, we had sex, it was a 3-minute thing.
Although Keith now accepts that 3 minutes is enough to fertilize a woman, he couldn't help but smile at the irony of 3 minutes changing your life forever. Samantha had left his house and gone straight to another man's bed. Same night, same circumstances. So, really? Was he supposed to believe he was the father?
I couldn't believe it, 3 minutes. I understand it doesn't take that, but...
So you don't take 2 seconds to get pregnant? That it was your 3 minutes of fame that had gotten her there?
Well, Your Honor, I
not how it
also
happened.
found out, Your Honor, that when she left my house...
Monica had said that she didn't like Keith, and she showed it in a fierce back and forth with him and his daughter. But the other potential father, Derek Smith, was different. No smirks, no cocky remarks. Could he be the father? The DNA results are ready.
His picture on Facebook with you and your mom talking about, oh yeah, well, is this person my dad, and blah, blah, blah.
I did that because I wanted people
but
to see.
If he's such a bad guy, then why would you even put him on Facebook and say, oh yeah, well, is he my dad?
Monica had not hidden her disdain for Keith and his family. According to her, Keith's family had maltreated her because they were convinced she wasn't Keith's daughter. The assumption that she might be his daughter had driven me against her. She didn't want to know what they would do if it was confirmed that she was indeed his daughter. She wants the DNA to point to any of the 13 guys but Keith. Will the results listen?
That Mr. Smith, you are not Monica's father.
I never thought I'd have to hear that. I still love you, though.
It's okay.
When it comes to Miss Monica Myers, Mr. Keith McCraney, it has been determined by this court that you are the father.
There it is.
This was supposed to be a paternity case, but it felt more like an emotional battlefield. On one side, a concerned mother convinced her daughter was spiraling out of control. The mother was adamant. Her daughter's reckless lifestyle meant there was no way Mr. Boyce was the father. She insisted her daughter had been with multiple men and that Mr. Boyce was being deceived.
Today we have the case of Co v. Co, mother versus daughter. Miss Co, you say you're here today because your daughter is an out-of-control teenager and she needs help. Furthermore, you claim that you have serious doubts that your daughter's boyfriend, Mr. Boyce, is the father of your 7-month-old grandson.
On the other hand, a defiant teenager clinging to the one thing she was sure of, her baby's father. And then there was the young man at the center of it all, unknowingly waiting for the truth that could destroy everything he thought he knew. From the beginning, this case promises to be wild.
You say Mr. Boyce has been a good father to the baby, but that your daughter has numerous sexual partners.
The accusations flew like daggers. The equally stubborn daughter swore she had made mistakes, but was certain of one thing. Her baby belonged to Mr. Boyce. She believes her mother is a nuisance, a disturbance sent to make her life harder. But her mother talks to the judge.
You have also petitioned the court to demand that your daughter attend parenting classes. Now, Ms. Co, you dispute your mother's claims. You say you are positive that Mr. Boyce is your baby's father and say today's result of the paternity test will prove your mother wrong.
This wasn't just about paternity. This was years of pent-up resentment, rebellion, and a fractured relationship between mother and daughter. The mother claimed her daughter was out of control, bringing thugs into the house with no regard for consequences, and consequences did come.
A police officer, not once, but twice.
Hitting a police officer.
She punched a police officer twice. I get the phone call, go up to the school, I get there. I was thankful that I knew this police officer. He looks at me and he says, "This is your daughter?"
Why would she do such a thing? Zaire had her reasons. If her mother, Mrs. Coe, had not abandoned her, maybe she would have turned out better. However, the mom denied the atrocious claims. She makes it clear that her daughter wants a carefree lifestyle without acknowledging the dangers.
My mother and her girlfriend just jumped on me. You come mess them up.
I said her girlfriend just jumped on me, and I did have somebody come over there.
She made that phone call. Them guys, they loaded up. They came to my house. They bust out every window. They busted out my car. They destroyed my house. This was 1 week before I was
That's your car?
That's my car.
Now that she is pregnant, the mother wants things to be done properly. Although she had been there when her daughter needed her most, she recognized that her behavior meant that the paternity of the child was uncertain. She had taken the bulls by the horn and spoken to Zaire's boyfriend.
I went over to my best friend's house and he was there.
So now, what I believe, and you can tell me if I'm right, Mom, you're worried now about this cycle repeating itself.
Exactly.
The young man, Mr. Boyce, had done everything right. He had stood by the baby, taken on responsibility, and believed in the relationship. But today, his entire world teetered on the edge of a single envelope. He had loved Zaire, and he's ready to prove it.
You don't have to feel ashamed
And
about that.
I was there for you.
If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell. Are you worried for your baby? You don't want your baby to have to grow up and feel the things you felt? What are your hopes for your son? What do you want for him?
I just want him to have both of his parents. And I don't want him to grow up like I did, and I don't want him to run the streets like I did, because I don't want him.
The judge laid out the facts, her voice steady, cutting through the tension in the room. The mother insisted she had told Mr. Boyce from the beginning that a test was necessary. The daughter, however, confessed there had been another man, a slip, a mistake, a moment she couldn't take back. But in her heart, she was still certain. Mr. Boyce was the father, and then the results.
The paternity of this particular child, but we also know that this child is very important to you.
Yeah, he really is.
Am I correct?
Yes.
Please tell the court about that.
I feel like from the beginning I knew it was a possibility, but at the same time, you know what I'm saying, he made me grow more, you know what I'm saying, since he been around. Because my mom, she passed away, and once I told her about it, you know what I'm saying, she just, oh, that's my grandbaby.
The air was thick, suffocating. The mother sat rigid, her daughter silent, and Mr. Boyce hopeful. The judge read the results.
I'm really, really proud of you. I really am. I want you to know that. And you know who else is? And as, you know, as much of a stand-up man, you know, you're being in this decision, in this situation, I should say, you're being a really mature individual.
Mr. Boyce was not the father. His face drained of color. He sat there, frozen, as if his mind refused to process what his ears had just heard. The weight of betrayal crushed him, pressing against his chest and stealing the air from his lungs. He had loved this child, devoted himself to him, and was convinced that he was the father, no matter the whispers or doubts.
He did you.
Ms. Coe, but you have told this court that you think it could possibly be Mr. Boyce or maybe someone else. Okay. Let's go to the results, okay? Jerome, do you have the results?
There you go, Your Honor.
But he wasn't. The mother let out a sharp breath. Relief, vindication. The daughter? Her confidence shattered in an instant. She had sworn she was sure, convinced herself there was no other way. But now, the truth had spoken. And Mr. Boyce? He had built his world around a lie. The judge's voice cut through the stunned silence. There were lessons to be learned here. Recklessness had consequences. Deception had victims. And in the middle of it all, an innocent child would soon grow up to ask the same question his father had asked today. Who am I? Justice had been served, but it left behind nothing but heartbreak.
Mr. Boyce, you are not the father.
The courtroom was packed, and the air was thick with tension. On one side stood Bishop House, a man of God and a leader in his community, now entangled in a paternity battle that threatened his reputation. On the other hand, Ms. Webster was a young woman caught between multiple lovers, searching for the truth about her child's father. And waiting just outside, another possible dad, Miles Jones, was unaware of the storm he was about to enter.
Good day, everyone. Mr. House, you're a church pastor and bishop who may have fathered a child with a woman who's 28 years younger than you.
Yes, Your Honor.
House had come to court to clear his name, but his confidence cracked as the details spilled out. The woman accusing him of fathering her child, 28 years younger. And if that wasn't scandalous enough, she admitted, without hesitation, that she had been with 3 different men during the time of conception. 3 men, 1 baby, and a test that would expose everything, from scripture to scandal. House had met Webster in Buffalo, fresh off a new assignment as a traveling pastor, but being a man of the cloth didn't mean he was immune to temptation. And by his own admission, he had manly needs. After a few conversations and a shared understanding of personal loss, they became more than just Bible study partners.
Ms. Webster, you admit you were involved with 3 different men during the time you conceived your daughter, including Mr. House.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, the second possible father you've identified, Mr. Miles Jones.
But where did they meet? That was a different story. She claimed they met at church. He insisted it was a fast food joint, a small detail, but in a case like this, every contradiction mattered. Regardless of where their paths first crossed, one thing was certain. This wasn't a love story. It was a lust story. House made it clear. This was nothing but a casual hookup, a booty call, as he put it. And he hadn't been careful for a man who claimed to be so careful with his reputation.
And he's currently waiting outside of the courtroom.
Yes.
So, Mr. House, first explain to the court, how did this all start between you and Ms. Webster?
It started with me leaving an assignment that I had in Jacksonville, moving to Buffalo, New York, take on a new assignment as a pastor. I'm a bishop, but I'm also a traveling pastor.
Because Webster was not exclusive. While she was wrapped up in a late-night rendezvous with House, she also saw Miles Jones. And unlike the bishop, Jones actually believed they had something real. What started as a few weeks of casual fun had turned into a committed relationship. At least he thought so.
I think that, maybe in the right atmosphere, we could probably, make a relationship and go a little bit further as time went along.
So, Ms. Webster, please tell us a little bit about the relationship as you saw it.
We met through my aunt.
But what he didn't know, that while he was bringing her flowers, House was bringing her something else entirely.
Met her at a fast food place. She's saying you all were at church, but regardless, you decided to be in a sexual relationship. Was it more than a sexual relationship?
No,
or
it was just a hookup.
It was just a hookup.
It was a booty call.
And you agreed with that it was just...
Not only with me, but 3 other people
as well. It was just...
The bombshell revelation. Jones had been clueless about Webster's other relationships. He had no idea another man was in the picture, let alone someone with House's status, so when he learned the truth, the betrayal hit hard.
Miles Jones?
Mr. Miles Jones. All right, we are here with Ms. Webster, and of course, we are discussing paternity as it relates to little Emilion.
Yes.
So was this a relationship, or was this just casual sex? What were you guys doing?
It was, at first it started off as casual sex for about...
Still, he did what he thought was right. When Webster told him she was 6 months pregnant, he didn't hesitate. He stepped up, paid for things, stayed by her side, named the baby after himself, and signed some papers at the hospital, believing, this is my child.
What happened, Mr. House? So you just up and left town?
No. In fact, I hung around for several weeks, even after my assignment ended, and I never got a phone call from her.
So the point is, you left the window open. If she really wanted to reach you, she'd be able to find you.
She would be able to find me.
So now question, when you left town, did you know she was pregnant?
I had no idea at all whatsoever. She never told me she was pregnant.
But House, he vanished, left town without a word. His excuse? He never knew she was pregnant, never got a call, never received a message. Yet, Webster's aunt somehow managed to track him down through his church organization. And just 30 days ago, the phone rang.
Immediately, when the auntie called me and told me, immediately I called.
So hold on, Mr. Miles Jones, I want to figure out what was happening with you at this time. So you find out she's pregnant.
Right.
How?
I came over on a regular hookup to go meet up with her. We was gonna go out.
There's a woman saying you left her with child. That was all it took to drag him into court. And now, here they were, the moment of truth. As the judge unfolded the envelope, the tension was unbearable. For House, this was everything. He had built his life on morality, faith, and leadership. If this child was his, It wasn't just personal, it was public.
Testimony here, you said she told you you were the father.
Yes, when I asked her, after she told me she was pregnant, I said, well, do you think I'm the father? She was like, well, you are the father. That's why I'm telling you. Because
that's a lie. When I told him it was a possibility, and when I had her, he was there. He even wanted me to give her last name, and he even wanted to sign the birth certificate. I have the information.
For Jones, this was validation. He had invested time, energy, money, and love into this child, giving everything, only to find himself doubting if any of it was real. And for Webster, this was Judgment Day. The judge took a breath, looked at the paper, and then the biological father of baby Emelian is Miles Jones. Silence. Then an explosion of emotions. Jones exhaled, his face a mix of relief and devastation. He had suspected it, but hearing it out loud, it shook him.
I want to know who my baby father is. Why not call you and let you know? I'm just saying,
and there's another possible guy as well, too. Remember here, she's triple playing. Let's look at it for what it really is. She's tricking. She's sleeping with this guy, sleeping with me, sleeping with somebody else. If she was happy.
House? The bishop staggered, gripping the edge of the podium. All that bravado, all that certainty, it evaporated in an instant. He had spent the entire trial denying the possibility. He was confronted with the truth. He was never this child's father. And Webster? She simply nodded. The weight of her choices and mistakes, it all came crashing down. Final verdict. Justice had spoken. Deception, doubts, and a desperate search for the truth led to this moment. As the courtroom emptied, one thing was clear. Secrets always surface. And when they do, the truth doesn't just set you free, it shocks you to your core.
Mr. Miles Jones, you are not her father. Mr. House, it has been determined by this court that you are not her father. You're certain that you are not her father because you claim her mother was unfaithful and you have...
Yes, my name may be on there, Your Honor. However, it's on there because the state put it on there. Yes, but that was against my objections.
Now that makes sense. In America, a child born within a union always belongs to the father, no matter what the DNA test results say. And if you don't try to get your name struck off that certificate soon enough, and with good cause, you will be stuck with parental responsibilities until the child is old enough. And yes, that includes child support, but it gets worse.
That's one of the reasons why I let Mr. Ayers go ahead and adopt her, because she did deserve to have a father. It's not her fault who her mother is.
So you were married to her mother.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you served in the military.
You really hear the darndest things on paternity court. The humans of this court don't just do regular bad stuff. They do regular bad stuff in the worst ways. What do you mean she cheated on you with a threesome? So she wasn't content with cheating just once, she had to involve 2 other people? But hold on, it gets worse.
Your daughter's biological father.
Your Honor, Mr. McBain, you and I were married. We were living in the same place.
Yes, and I worked a lot.
And you were there.
I was in the United States Coast Guard, Your Honor.
Wow, there is a lot of bad blood here. But let's break these issues down one by one, shall we? First of all, Mr. McBain says he cannot be the father because he is sterile, but that cannot be true if he has other kids afterwards. Then he says he was sterile due to stress. Now, that doesn't pass any smell test whatsoever, but let's learn more.
About 3 months straight, and went back home. As I'm walking across the living room, I look over and there's a pair of boots and a coat on the floor, and a coat on
Your Honor, those were his boots and his coat.
Well, you don't have to tell us that twice. It already looks and sounds like the whole marriage was a joke, but none of this is bringing us closer to the truth. Mr. McBain says that Ms. Brown cheated on him, she says she didn't, and they could probably argue this till the end of the world. However, what we want to know is whether he is the father. Let's learn about these strange threesomes Mr. McBain has been talking about.
Threesomes at all. It was because Mr. McBain had asked for them.
That you were cheating, but you said you were cheating after Ms. Robertson was already conceived and born. Now, earlier you said...
Okay, now this is getting even more complicated. Now, Mr. McBain says, well, Your Honor, I was actually in the threesomes in question, but I only did it to satisfy my wife. And now, Ms. Graham is saying, well, I did sleep with other men, but I only did it when I was already pregnant. Imagine how embarrassed Ms. Robertson has to be, but it gets worse.
McBain, you truly believe this other man could pretend Ms. Roberts' father?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Why?
Well, between the Coast Guard telling me I was sterile and the fact that the man is Hawaiian, he's Samoan.
Wait, what? Has Mr. McBain been studying race science? Mrs. Robertson looks as white can be, but apparently Mr. McBain here has a master's in skull measurements and racial facial features, so he can say with high certainty that she is actually half Samoan. Look at that, we've got a doctor of racism in the building. Let's see how he explains this.
Anything you've heard thus far, does it make you think any differently? Do you...
No, because I look like him. I'm built like him.
Well, the part I'm having trouble with, Mr. McBain, is
Wow. What can you even say but wow? They may look old and gray now, but Ms. Graham and Mr. McBain sound like they were really having a lot of fun. The only problem now is that fun seems to have resulted in a child with a ruined childhood. Imagine the effect of this on Mr. Robertson. What does she think about this? Mr. McBain isn't giving even an inch to the idea that this child is his. He loathes the idea and is very certain that she belongs to some Samoan guy. Ms. Graham, on the other hand, is extremely certain that this is her child. Well, there's only one way to know for sure. Bring on the DNA test result.
Mr. McBain Sr., you are not her father. Miss Robertson, how do you feel? Are you all right? So, Miss Graham, you've been very sure.
Imagine that. Ms. Webster had always believed that Mr. Smith was her father, but now she thinks that her father is none other than Mr. Ware. And how did she get this feeling? Well, you wouldn't believe it, but she prayed about it in church. That's right. Let's take a listen now.
They always kind of had something against me. I heard a relative say that that's not none of your father. So I started questioning. I asked my mom, I talked to Mr. Smith, like, why are they?
It sounds like Miss Webster is going through a world of pain. Imagine thinking that one man is your father for 40 years and then learning that he is really not. Do you know how messed up that can be? And the fact that she has to examine these facts in front of both men who could be her father is just crazy, but it somehow gets worse.
And I never really start putting things together until the blood type wasn't the same. And I'm looking in the baby book, and there's relatives of Mr. Ware's family that signed in when I was born. They bought gifts.
You wouldn't believe it, but it gets worse. Now that is crazy. Why would relatives of Mr. Ware do that? In fact, the only reason another man's relatives would sign into the baby book of a child is if they believed that there was a chance the child could be theirs. But if this is true, and it's starting to sound like it is, why didn't Mr. Ware do anything? What does he even have to say?
At the time when her mom and I were dating, she was in between two cities, Louisville, Kentucky, and Dayton, Ohio. And she would spend months there and months here. And during that time...
Okay, first of all, a 16-year-old is supposed to know one or two things about timelines if they took a little known subject called biology. Second of all of this happened when Mr. Ware was 16? No wonder he looked so young. If you thought this man was drinking from the fountain of youth, you are wrong. So, what happened next?
Yes, I was there when her mom was pregnant. As a matter of fact, we continued to date at that point. I remember times being with the mom and rubbing her belly and just always there to support her.
Mr. Ware doesn't just look like a gem of a man, he also sounds like one too. He knew the baby wasn't his and that his girlfriend had cheated on him, but he stayed with her through the pregnancy regardless. That is something that most men would never ever even think of doing. Yet he did it. Imagine the DNA test now proves he is the father. But hold on, because there is one more bombshell we are about to uncover.
I knew who he was, but he didn't know who I was. I just been praying, that I find out who my father is. There's things in my life, there's roadblocks and stumbles I've been going through. There's things goals I'm achieving. And knowing who my father is one of them. And I came to the Lord. I went to the altar. They had altar call.
Well, in paternity court, Judge Lauren Lake deals only with scientifically verified DNA tests. But it looks like Ms. Webster has her own ideas about how these things should work. She says she said a prayer to God, and God delivered Mr. Ware to her. I wonder if she would say the same thing if the man standing behind her had been another random person, not Mr. Ware. Let's see how she explains this.
Yes, I am.
And he's a spiritual person.
Did you know it her? Did you know it was Miss Webster, this baby?
I did not.
That you knew before she even left the womb? Did you know?
No, I did not know at that time.
You see, Mr. Ware might be a deacon and maybe a spiritual man, but he doesn't believe in every spiritual sign people argue for. He insists that the mother of the child told him, in very clear terms, that the baby wasn't his. And that is the testimony he is going to keep repeating. If anyone has anything else to say, they should bring some evidence. Let's hear from some witnesses.
I know what Miss Webster may have told him, that he wasn't the father. But I believe in my heart, when Miss Webster left Louisville to move back to Dayton, Ohio, that she left her pregnant.
How is it that as the cousin, you know more?
Now that complicates things. If there is a reason for Ms. Webster's mom to lie, then Ms. Webster's spiritual DNA test may start looking a little bit too real. And it actually makes sense if you think about it. There are loads of women who come on paternity court to lie because they want to save their relationships. Well, was Ms. Webster's mom one of those women? Other possible father.
September the 17th, which means that she had to be conceived either late December or January of 76 or late December of 75. I was in the United States Army. stationed in Fort Hood, Texas.
Really?
She right there. She was born September the 17th.
Wow, that is heavy. Mr. Smith knew he wasn't the father, but like Mr. Ware, he stuck around and did what he calls the right thing. He did that for a child that did not belong to him. There are many men who don't even do that for kids that they father. Anyway, it's decision time. Who is the father? Let's find out.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Smith, you are not her father. Are you surprised?
Hurt? Yes. Surprised? No. Always. Always, sweetie.
He give me $30 probably every blue moon. And that ain't helping taking care of no kid, okay?
Okay, well.
So why do you keep having them? You 27 years old.
Young and dumb. In love with the wrong person. Like I said, I've known him for 10 years.
Your Honor, when I met her, she didn't have nothing. I took her, she had never
And she still don't have nothing according to you, so what does that say about you?
Right.
And she got all your babies. No, stop over-talking me.
Wow, this one promises to be a bang, and here are the details. On one side, we have Ms. Bryson, who says, yes, she was sleeping around, but that does not mean that Mr. McCarroll isn't her child's father. What do you think Mr. McCarroll thinks of that? Of course he thinks it's rubbish. Here's how it starts out.
Ms. Bryson, you have dragged the defendant, your ex-boyfriend, Mr. McCarroll, into court today because although you admit to having sex with more than one man, you are here with proof that Mr. McCarroll is the father of your 18-month-old son, Zylan McCarroll. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. McCarroll, you have no choice but to believe that another man is Zylan's biological father.
Unlike other women who walk into this court and start painting a perfect picture of themselves, Ms. Bryson says there is no perfect picture to paint. She says that she might whore around, but it's only because she is engaged to a fellow whore. The logic might be dodgy, but at least we get it. What's more?
Everywhere he goes, he meets someone, and he always sleeps with them. Everywhere he goes.
It's not true, Your Honor.
What is true, Mr. McCarroll?
I could see all this coming, and I tried to deter or avoid her from getting to this
How did you
point.
see all of it coming, and what is it?
I could, this situation where we got another beautiful young black woman that don't know who her kid's fathers is.
You know what? At some point in that monologue, Mr. McCarroll was starting to sound like a freedom fighter. He was actually starting to sound like Kendrick Lamar. The only problem here is Ms. Bryson doesn't want to be freed. In fact, she's very clear about her point. But Mr. McCarroll isn't only here to free people. He also wants to spread some blame.
To my mother on the phone, I can't read a book without getting put out, cursed out.
Your Honor, when he did find a job while we was together, I was supposed to bring his lunch in for him. I called him, he didn't answer, and I know him. Anytime he don't answer the phone, it's a woman involved. And sure enough, it was.
Well, I don't know what to tell you, Mr. McCarroll. That's kind of normal. The fact that Ms. Bryson stopped you from reading a Rick James autobiography 3 years ago cannot be the reason you don't have an education, right? Can it? Because if that's the reason, you've got a mighty long way to go. But hold on, it gets worse.
And we got into it about that situation. And
How do you know that was a girl
anytime I bring,
currently slept with?
I talked to her. He was telling her she upstairs sleep with the baby. When I get a chance to get out, I'm gonna come over and we gon'
I don't know where you got that story. I want to take a lot of
It's always, I'm stupid, I'm dumb, I don't know nothing. Like he over here talking now like I'm the bad guy.
Now it is time for Ms. Bryson to share some blame around. So these two made sure they cheated on their respective partners with each other, and neither of them wants to accept the blame for such behavior. Ms. Bryson says he cannot keep his hands to himself. Well, stop inviting him over then. Let's see what happens next.
He came over. I asked the guy that I was in a relationship with, could I do his hair? He said yes. He came over and was flirting on me, touching on me. Every time we speak on the phone, I try to call and let him talk to the kids. Every time that we speak on the phone, he always flirts. I never, ever cheated on him when we were together.
What? What do you mean he is trying to make you look like the bad guy? You are the bad guy. Cheating is actually bad, folks. I know sometimes it can be difficult to parse that, but it is true. You should probably not cheat on people no matter what. But hold on, because things are about to get even more ridiculous.
I wanted to get married to him. Like I said, I've been with him since I was 18. I love him. Any man I ever talked to know that I love him, okay? I wanted to have a son. I wanted to get married. He didn't want to give it to me. He didn't want to settle down, okay? Yes, and I got it. And obviously ain't no man gonna be included in it because I haven't tried to even get into a relationship because I know I'm still hung over him.
The sad thing is that Ms. Bryson allowed her love for Mr. McCarroll to get her into a world of pain. Regardless of whether this child belongs to him or not, you can see that she really loves this man. She truly wants to be with him, but he just wants to sleep with her and other women. What happens next?
I took a test at the doctor and he told me I wasn't pregnant, so he scheduled me for an ultrasound on my ovaries. The next week, I bought one just because, and I was pregnant. And I bought 4 more, and they also came out positive. And during that time frame that I slept with Mr. McCarroll.
Really? You can't? But it doesn't matter, Mr. McCarroll. As long as you had unprotected sex during the window of conception, there's a real possibility that you could be the baby's father. However, that is just a possibility. And if Ms. Bryson slept with another man during that period, he could also be the father. So did she?
Well, we slept together also on April the 26th. That's the day that I split up with him.
All right.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
April 26th, other guy.
But I'm so bad, though.
Ms. Bryson, that's just 2 days before you said you slept with Mr. McCarroll.
I understand that. Yes, ma'am.
Wow, what sort of crazy logic is this? We think Ms. Bryson just really wants to have a son by Mr. McCarroll and will jump through all manner of hoops to get there. She doesn't care what those hoops are or what lies she has to tell. Anyway, let's see what the DNA test result thinks of all of this.
Mr. Perkins, you are not the father. In the case of Bryson versus McCarroll, Mr. McCarroll, you are not father.
Man, case closed. I ain't got no more to say. Say no more.
So you did have sex with the other guy, but you used protection.
That's what she says. I don't know.
That's what I did. I don't gotta lie on myself.
Man.
So
no
we
reason
here
why.
today for a reason.
Things
because
happen.
she is
Either
lying.
you the dad or
because
you're
she
not.
is a liar. That's the reason we here today. And
Exactly, because you a liar, you need to step up pretty
listen,
much.
I don't want to take care of another man's child.
You want to take care of the children
Yes, I
that's
do.
yours.
Yes,
you
I
don't
do.
take
I
care
love
of
him.
yourself.
I love that
So
little
don't
boy,
sit
and
here
you
and
know
take-
that.
Wow. Okay, let's go back to the beginning. Now we have Ms. Harris here who claims that her 15-year on and off relationship with Mr. Sterling has produced a child, and she insists that Mr. Sterling step up and take care of the child. Mr. Sterling, on the other hand, says that Ms. Harris told him the baby wasn't his, and he no longer wants to help take care of her child. Here is how it began.
Ms. Harris, you say you're not going to raise this baby alone?
Yes, Your Honor. Basically, Mr. Sterling needs to step up and take care of his baby that he knows is his. You know, I'm not going to do this by myself. So I'm here because I want to prove paternity to him that this is his child.
Well, at least we know whose fault it is that both of them are in court. Mr. Sterling says that the only reason he doubts the paternity is because Ms. Harris always tells him that the baby doesn't belong to him. But that is only the tip of the iceberg because this case gets so messy.
But he wasn't doing nothing before the bell got rung about him not being the father.
So you're saying even before you said this, he was not stepping up to the plate.
And he was cheating the whole time I was pregnant. He
That's
was
a
cheating
negative.
before
That
he
is a
cheated
negative.
the whole
That is a
time.
negative.
And he's lying.
That is true. Cheating is bad enough, but it doesn't matter at all if the question is one of paternity. This isn't a couples court. So let's break this down. Why does Mr. Sterling really doubt he is the father? This cannot just be over some words said in anger, right? Let's find out.
So now, the first date on this calendar says the doctor's appointment was on March 21st, and the doctor says that Ms. Harris is 6 to 8 weeks pregnant, and you had sex on Valentine's Day. So now, if we count back 6 to 8 weeks, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, 8 weeks. That is the last week in January.
Okay, that's clever. Her counterpoint is that the doctor made a mistake and that 8 weeks was really 6 weeks. That doesn't happen often, but it is possible, right? Maybe the doctor made a mistake with his estimation. Let's see what is going to happen next.
She told me that it was another guy who could be the baby's father. It broke my heart.
First of all, that's a lie.
What happened?
We had an argument, and she just brung that up. I don't know if she was mad or what, but whatever
What
it
happened?
is,
Tell me the story.
it implanted doubt in my head.
What happened?
She said, "Don't worry, you not my baby's father anyway."
Oh, now things are starting to look scary. If what Mr. Sterling is saying is true, it may just mean that he really isn't the father, because the timeline he just mentioned works perfectly for the previous 8 weeks estimation, but it gets even worse, if you can believe it.
Ms. Harris, did you have sex with another man 2 weeks before you had sex with Mr. Sterling?
It wasn't
on the
2 weeks.
14th?
It was like 3 weeks. It was like not even 3 weeks.
So it's 2 to 3 weeks before you were intimate with Mr. Sterling. You were intimate with another man.
Yeah.
Well, it is just argument after counter-argument in this courthouse. Ms. Harris says that yes, she might have slept with this dude, but she used protection, so she is very sure that he isn't the father of her baby, and that is a very good argument going by the standards of paternity court. Anyway, it gets even worse.
He don't
Yes,
like
she
responsibility,
lied,
Your
man.
Honor. And
No,
Ms. Harris,
she
you
lied to
believe
me.
he's avoiding responsibility.
He avoided responsibility. Let me tell you something. Whether my son is or is not his, he don't take care of himself or the one that he knows is his.
But now you just said whether your son is or isn't his. So do you have doubt?
No, I don't, Your Honor. I know he my baby daddy. I know this.
Yeah, these two are eventually gonna have to head to couples court anyway because this is just too much. There's just so much hate and angst between them that we are kind of thinking it's probably better for the kid if Mr. Sterling isn't the father, but that isn't how these things go. Hold on, guys. Let's see what happens next.
He was there when I delivered my baby.
Yes.
Along with flirting and cheating on me throughout my whole pregnancy. He was at the hospital flirting with nurses. And I'm about to get to fighting because I'm like, you not finna try me like that, right?
And she makes a really good point. If he thought that the baby wasn't his, why did he sign the birth certificate? Or cut the umbilical cord? Why did he do all of those things if he truly believed the baby wasn't his? Let's see what Mr. Sterling has to say about that. Take a listen.
Your Honor, like at the 8 months when we got into it over the argument, I thought it was just because she might have been mad. Maybe she did just say this out of the side of her.
You cheated, you lied, and you wrong.
Whatever. So maybe she did say this out of just spite, you know what I'm saying? So when she had the baby, I still was there.
But that doesn't make any sense. He saw all of the evidence he is using now even before the baby was born. If they didn't convince him then, why are they enough to convince him now? Anyway, it is time for this paternity test results. And here's what those results say.
Mr. Sterling, you are the father.
Exactly. So what you got to say now,
You
baby?
are his father.
All this, next. See, you know, we got to leave here. You know that, right?
Twins run in my family. Taylor Rose is not a twin.
Well, every child born in a family that has twins won't be a twin.
Well, I know my sister didn't have any twins. I know I will be the one to have twins. Taylor Rose is not my child.
Where are you getting this information from, Mr. Scott?
It's what I know.
How do you know it?
From my family history.
Well, it is settled then. If your lineage only accepts twins, there's no point doing a paternity test, right? Wrong. In today's case, we have Ms. Graham who wants to prove to Mr. Scott that Taylor is his biological child. Mr. Scott, as you can see, says since Taylor isn't a twin, she cannot be his kid. Here's how it starts out.
Basically, we're planning a wedding and we're getting in arguments every day about the paternity. He knows he's the father. He's knew since I've told him several times that he's the father and he still tries to deny it. And I just want this resolved today.
Exactly. Because right now, it just looks so weird. Mr. Scott is over here doing amateur science by measuring nose sizes and shapes, while Ms. Graham still looks like she cares a lot about this wedding. Here's what I think, Ms. Graham. This wedding is probably not going to hold no matter the results here. But how did they even get to this point?
I don't want to move on.
So if Taylor's not your biological child, you're not getting married?
Hell no. Excuse me.
Oh.
That's news to you.
That's definitely news to me.
So, Miss Graham, you admit this is an on-again, off-again relationship.
Yes.
Okay, we've got a case all right. So for these two, it doesn't really matter whether they are dating or not. They are still going to go ahead and have an active sex life, as they call it. And the fact that Ms. Graham is just finding out their wedding, which will probably never hold, is hanging on this paternity court case is just chef's kiss. But wait, it gets worse.
We had sex for about a week nonstop. He knows exactly which weekend I'm talking about.
Your Honor,
It's like after I got pregnant, like I said, he just flipped the script.
Were you engaged during then?
Yeah, no, we were engaged before then.
Okay, now we see the issue. Mr. Scott says he knows and has always known that the baby cannot belong to him because the dates just don't match up at all. If her pregnancy was 6 weeks old and they had just gotten back for 2 weeks, he's right to raise a point. But here's the thing. Mrs. Graham says they even had sex while they were not together, so it doesn't seem like it would matter either way. So what's next?
I didn't say anything to her about the paperwork until she approached me about being pregnant.
So what happened when you approached him, Ms. Graham? What did you say?
I approached him because this was like my first time being pregnant. This is my first child. So of course I was a little scared. I didn't know what my options were. So after I told him, I'm expecting him to be excited. And he just, oh, that's not my child. Like, it was just like a big mess.
Well, yeah, that's true. But you still want to marry him after doing all that? And how did they get back to making marriage plans after all of this? What exactly happened? Well, only one way to find out. Let's see what they have to say next.
Break up during the pregnancy.
We just separated before the pregnancy. We got back together. We were always on and off again, so the timeline is a little sketchy. But we did break up several times. But the bottom line is we never stopped having sex throughout this entire thing.
You want to ask her this?
That is a crazy explanation, a really crazy one. She wanted to have time to think about whether she would keep the child or not. Well, all I can say is that there's a very good reason Mr. Scott doubts that he is the father of the baby. Even if they were still having sex at the time, she could have also been sleeping with somebody else. Anyway, it gets better.
Was there someone else that you were dating or seeing?
Not before I was pregnant, no.
But after after you were pregnant there was?
Yes.
So who were you with when you gave birth to Taylor?
He came up to the hospital. He caused a dramatic scene.
What happened at the hospital?
He cursed me out. He said how he was never going to sign that birth certificate because my daughter wasn't a twin.
Well, even if it is just 80% true, it's still really crazy. The fact that Mr. Scott did nothing for her throughout the pregnancy and still showed up to the hospital to cause a scene is just crazy. If you're going to stay out of the baby's life, do that and don't cause even more problems. So what happened next?
I really feel like he came up there.
She didn't even call and tell me that she was in the hospital and had the baby.
I didn't want that stress.
I had to find out from someone else.
I did not want that stress, and I was right.
What stress?
I was right. He came up there and he did every single thing that I knew he was going to do, which is why I did not call him.
This is just so messy. First rule of paternity court is not to tell the father that he is not the father. That is one bell that you cannot unring. Every father will take that sort of statement to heart, even if you don't mean it. But hold on, it gets worse. It gets much worse.
It's your testimony, Mr. Scott, that Ms. Graham has said to you in your face, you are not the father.
Yes, plenty of times.
Plenty of times?
Yes, plenty of times.
Do you have any evidence to show this? Any evidence of your doubt?
Yes, I was paying daycare. This one particular day, her mom could not pick up Taylor, so she called and said, hey, could you go get Taylor? And I was like, sure. So I goes and I get Taylor.
Oh, really? Now that puts a different twist on things. This case has gone on for far too long. It is time to find out who the real father is. Is Mr. Scott the dad, or does that title belong to another man? Let's see what the DNA test result has to say about this case.
Mr. Scott, you are not the father.
Thank you, Your Honor. I already knew I wasn't.
Jerome, can you go see if you can try to get Miss Graham?
Could I speak with her for a moment?
No, just let her have a minute. Let her have a minute.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Walker, you have petitioned the court for a DNA test and want to prove that the defendant is the father of your 13-month-old son, Bentley. You admit that there was another man, but hope Mr. Khan is Bentley's dad. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Really? That is crazy. Ms. Walker wants to prove that Mr. Khan is the father of her child. She admits that she had other men, but she thinks that Mr. Khan has to be the father. Mr. Khan, on the other hand, really hopes the child is his, but he says he has a lot of reasons to doubt that he is the father. Let's listen.
It's important to me because I want the best for my son. He deserves the right to know. I feel that Jerry is the best choice.
So you are admitting that there are other possibilities?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. Khan has developed a relationship with your son?
Yes, they have a very good bond.
That's so beautiful. Mr. Khan looks so happy to be in this child's life. They have such a good bond, but that isn't the only thing Ms. Walker has said. She's also said that Mr. Khan is the right choice. That means there are other possibilities, and she is choosing Mr. Khan because of who he is, not because he is the father. Let's learn more.
What kind of relationship is this?
We were in a committed relationship for 6 years. We had our problems and we wound up parting ways for 3 years. And another guy came into the picture. I found out that he was unfaithful to me, and Jerry, he's always been there for me. He's always been my rock.
Oh, so this isn't the case of Ms. Walker cheating on Mr. Khan. She was cheating with him on the man she was with at the time. Again, I've got to say this, folks. Cheating is actually bad. You may not think it is, but it is. It doesn't matter the why or the how. You shouldn't cheat on your partners. Anyway, what happened next?
You find out you're pregnant when you go back.
Yes, Your Honor.
Who do you tell?
The other man.
And what was his response?
He was happy. At this point, he didn't know that I had been with Jerry.
You submitted a calendar to the court. I'd like to review that. So you go to the doctor on January 12th.
Yes, Your Honor.
They tell you you are 9 weeks pregnant.
Yes, Your Honor.
On the same day? Really? The same day? Did she misspeak? This doesn't even make any sense. Ms. Walker says that Mr. Khan is the love of her life, yet she broke up with him, and then came to see him after her present boyfriend cheated, and then went back home that night and slept with the cheater? How did that even happen?
November 17th, you admittedly had sex with Mr. Khan that morning.
Yes, Your Honor.
But had sex with the other man that evening.
Yes, Your Honor.
2 men on the same day. Whoa, that is just gross. And the funny thing is, she knew in the end that there was no way to be sure who the father of the child was. And after all of this happened, Ms. Walker still stayed with the other man. That means he would have stayed with her during the pregnancy, right?
Did he sign the birth certificate?
Barely, but yes. He almost missed it.
Barely signed it? What's that mean?
He had left me at the hospital the day after I gave birth, and I didn't hear from him until the next day when I was being discharged.
This is such a mess. How can the other father even step up now now when Ms. Walker says that she prefers another man to be the dad. That is probably why Mr. Khan has decided to step up and take care of the child. Let's find out, because this case is starting to real heat up.
This whole time I've been with the other man. The other man has been involved, but me and him don't have a great relationship, and every time I leave him, Jerry's who I go to. Jerry's always been there for me.
Are you two hoping to make this relationship work?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
I feel like we're a family. I really do. These results will tell me where I need to go from here.
This is so complicated. If the baby belongs to Mr. Khan, then the issue is straightforward. Ms. Walker will go back to him and they will build a relationship. But if the child belongs to the other man, well, who knows what will happen? Will Mr. Khan even consider continuing to care for the baby? Who knows at this point? But there is one point of evidence we haven't heard yet.
There's been times where Bentley's been playing, and whenever the light hits his back, it almost looks like he might have it.
And so you think your son, Bentley, may potentially have scoliosis?
Yes, I've heard it might be hereditary.
Well, that doesn't sound right. But at this point, you have got to feel for Ms. Walker. She's grasping at whatever straw she can to make sure that the child in question belongs to Mr. Khan. But we don't think that is how paternity court cases work. Here's what the court's doctor thinks about that.
So let's back up just a little bit. Scoliosis is the sideways curvature of the spine, which is abnormal. It's the most common spinal malformation that happens in children. We start screening for this in children around 2nd, 3rd grade when they start doing sports. So at his age, it would be very difficult to diagnose.
Okay, that is a lifeline for Miss Walker. If her child has scoliosis, it may be because Mr. Khan is the father, but that doesn't really confirm anything. Only the DNA test results can actually make any definite pronouncements.
Mr. Khan, you are not the father. I'm very sorry.
Okay. If you forget about.
I'm very sorry.
It's okay.
I know that was not the result either of you wanted.
No, no.
Ms. Lyde, you say that for 26 years you have known only one man, the defendant, Mr. Ellis, to be your biological father. And you're devastated that he is claiming you're not his.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Ellis, you say that Ms. Lyde's mother was unfaithful during your 7-year relationship and that you are certain you are not Ms. Lyde's biological father. You are here to prove that in court and to clear your name.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's odd. Ms. Lyde says that growing up has been hard for her right from her childhood. She says that she's been in and out of foster homes for as long as she can remember. If that's the case, how then has she believed for 26 years that Mr. Ellis has been her father?
And so you're saying you were in a relationship with her mother?
Yes, I was.
And it was a sexual relationship?
Yes, it was.
And it was a sexual relationship where you did not use protection?
Yes, Your Honor.
However, what you're saying is her mother also was having sex and intimate relationships with other men during that time?
Yes, Your Honor.
That story sounds hell of hilarious. Mr. Ellis claims that her mother was out partying and sleeping with several men while they were in a romantic relationship with each other. That crazy thing is he actually has no proof to back up his claim.
I gave her the papers. They garnished my check.
Mr. Ellis, explain that. You had a DNA test already.
Yes.
Explain.
When I was away, her mother called child support on me. They came and took the DNA test.
You got the results back?
I got the results back. It was 99.9 that I wasn't the father. So I showed her the paperwork.
Wow. I think her mom might have to get up from that chair she's in and tell her side of the story. Mr. Ellis says that he had a DNA test done, and the results showed that he was 99.9% not her father, and that's the reason he stopped paying child support. Could he be lying?
This on this DNA test got was from her through juvenile court, but they never showed to court
So you-
juvenile.
The bottom line is a DNA test was performed, yes or no?
Yes.
What were the results?
They say in the court 99% yes.
Well, I guess we've heard her own side of the story, and it doesn't go with what Mr. Ellis said. Apparently, she claims that a DNA test was actually done, but the results showed that Mr. Ellis was 99.9% her father, and not what he claims they showed. Interesting.
Mrs. Lyde, it's not that I'm not trying to accept you for who you are. I think you're a beautiful person. Your mother should have told you. And quit lying to you. You deserve the truth.
I do deserve the truth. I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling really mad.
And you have the right to be.
What are you feeling?
I feel like, because me, I'm a mom, and I feel like if you are old enough.
Well said, Ms. Lyde. Well said. She loves herself, and if Mr. Ellis wants to deny her, she's good either way. All she wants is to know the identity of who her actual father is. Seems like her mother isn't even sure who the dad is at this point.
About who your father is, so you find your real father.
I feel like
That's why I called the
truth.
courts.
I deserve
That's
to know
why I
what's
called the
going
courts.
on.
Because you deserve the truth.
In your court papers, Ms. Lyde, you said that you made difficult and unfortunate choices with men because of this absence of a father figure, the relationship with your father.
Once again, she's right. She admits to the judge that she has also made terrible mistakes with the men she has been with, and she blames it on the fact that she never had a male figure in her life to guide her. I honestly blame her mother for all of this.
She has a little brother that she and the little brother were like twins, and the grandmother, Miss Lyde Sr.'s mother, brought the baby over in the house behind mine every day for a week and said, "This is her brother. I want her to know her."
Judge Lauren will certainly add that to the list of things she had to consider. Mr. Ellis's witness, who happens to also be his mother, says that Ms. Lyde does not possess any features that would mark her as one of her genes. She also says that she actually never saw a DNA result showing that her son was either the father or not the father.
It's already built the hate in her heart for me from the day I was born. Like every
I didn't even know your mom was pregnant with you.
Every situation I have seen her has been trouble. Like I've seen her on a trolley when I was 10. I don't know if you remember.
You were 16.
I was 10. I saw her on a trolley where we used to live at, and I approached her.
Wow. That would definitely have broken Ms. Lyde's heart as a child. Ms. Lyde believes that Mr. Ellis's mom has always hated her right from the time she was born, and she never wanted her to be part of her family.
I don't need anybody to feel sorry for me at all, because at the end of the day, I'm blessed. I just want to know the truth.
But the DNA test told it already.
Let it go. Let it go. She's lying still.
I haven't saw anything yet.
You have to understand, Mr. Ellis, her point is she's been told her whole life you are her biological father. You say you had proof that she was not, but she hasn't seen the proof.
Yup, we are all confused. Trust me. Everybody seems to have one thing or the other to say, and the story is just not adding up. Let's see if the results are going to clear the air, and we can get to the bottom of the whole thing. Here are the results.
Mr. Ellis, you are the father.
Whoa! I knew it! Yes!
This is another case of young kids getting pregnant at a young age. Now, Ms. Jones is in court with her mom because she's tired of the defendant constantly denying her child. She knows the DNA results will prove that he is the father, and she wants him to step up to his roles. The case begins like this.
Ms. Jones, you and your mother say you are tired of the defendant's denial. He's the biological father of your 6-month-old son, and once the DNA results prove your claim, you demand to be reimbursed for baby Lyric's child care expenses. Is that correct?
Yes, Your
Ha 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 ha. He did not just tell the judge that he doesn't think for himself. Let's all assume he didn't understand the question. Ms. Jones says that she broke up with him because he is so immature and can't think for himself.
She was getting confronted of cheating on me.
Boy, I ain't never cheated on him. I have never cheated on him.
But once
his family had him believe that I was the one who was cheating on him, and it was mainly you and your husband.
You're right, because me and my daughter were catching text messages coming through your phone.
What text messages?
You were answering
what text
your phone.
messages?
I've never seen people yap and yap and yap without making any communication or conversation. Mr. Houston and his mom claim that the actual reason for their breakup was because they confronted Ms. Jones about her cheating, and that's what led to all the yelling.
I don't know why they got their
When you two were dating, were you dating anyone else?
No, I was with him. I was faithful to him.
So you broke up around prom, the time right before prom?
A week before prom.
When did you find out you were pregnant?
I found out June 3rd that I was pregnant.
That was honestly the same reaction that popped out of my face. Why'd she wait for 8 months before she decided it was finally the right time to tell them she was pregnant? That just builds room for a lot of suspicion. Something is not right with that story.
Out of the picture, you said it was between her and your son?
Yes, ma'am, because it's so much drama going on. When you call somebody at 8 months pregnant and say, hey, I just found your number in my old phone, so hey, you guys are too much drama. I didn't want to tell you I was pregnant.
Her story is still not making any sense. She says that she didn't want to involve Mr. Houston's family or tell them about the pregnancy because they are such dramatic people, and she didn't want to deal with all the drama. Well, hello? Why is she telling them now? I mean, isn't this the same drama she was trying to avoid?
What does she have to do
Wait,
with my
another
friend?
girl pregnant?
Yeah, she didn't tell me until she found out she was pregnant.
Yes, Your Honor, that's how it happened.
How the heck I'm gonna
On
know
Facebook,
she's pregnant and how I know you was dating her?
Pregnant, all of a sudden the phone call came.
Yeah.
Because you know these.
Yeah, so like I just
and you 18 years old.
Dating her.
And there they go again with the yelling. I'm not gonna lie, it's disappointing to see that both their moms allowed this kind of mess, especially Mr. Houston's mom. Her son literally has 2 ladies pregnant, and she's acting like it's not a big deal. What the hell?
Your Honor, I I asked for DNA multiple times, more than 3 times, because I already knew that me telling them at 8 months that I was pregnant, I already knew it was probably gonna be like some denial. So I offered the DNA test. And then the mom was like,
So why did the coworker say somebody else was the baby daddy?
What coworker?
Manager said.
The manager.
The manager
Your
said,
Honor,
oh, you're one
Your
of the
Honor.
guys that she's claiming to be her baby daddy.
That's just wild. That's honestly just wild. Mr. Houston's mom claims that her son is one of multiple men who might be the father. She says that the manager of the store where Mr. Houston's new girlfriend works said something relating to her son being among other men who Ms. Jones thinks is the father of her child.
You are now Mr. Houston's
girlfriend.
And you also have a child together?
Yes.
Okay. When you were working, a co-worker told you something about Ms. Jones. Am I correct?
My manager did.
What did they say?
He seen Nigel come in and he said, is this the dude that dated Nakisha? And I said, yeah, that's him.
Well, Mr. Houston's girlfriend confirms that story. But then again, did the manager just pop out of the blues and say that? Or what led to him telling her that piece of information? Sounds really fishy to me.
You said that it's not about the timing, it's about the multiple men you were sleeping with.
Yes, ma'am.
What other evidence do you have that would suggest that Ms. Jones was sleeping with more than one person?
When she broke up with my son, she dropped him for another gentleman to go to prom with. When we were actually in the car with her, she answered the phone. There was a gentleman on the other line. She acted like she did not hear it.
Honestly, I believe Ms. Jones when she says they never tried to see her child. I mean, look at how they act in the courtroom. They don't even sound like people who want to be part of the baby's life.
His age, getting ready for your prom, you should be getting ready to go on to college. Figure out what you want to do with your life. Where are we now with this? Now we've got 2 children. Miss Hasty's had a baby. You have a baby. Miss Hasty, is Mr. Houston involved in your child's life?
Yes.
At least we know now that he wants to be the father of his girlfriend's child. He says that he hasn't been there for Ms. Jones's baby because he doesn't know if he is the father. Well, the DNA results are going to reveal that answer. And here they come.
Mr. Houston, you are the father.
Boom!
Miss Jones?
Ms. Upshaw has brought 4 of her daughter-in-law's children to have them tested and know if her son is the father of her kids. Crazy, right? She says that her son, Mr. Upshaw, married a loose woman, and she feels there's a high chance that the kids belong to other men. Well, here's how the case begins.
Ms. Upshaw, you have petitioned the court for a DNA test on 4 of your daughter-in-law's children. You say you have serious doubts because your son married, and I'll use your words, a loose woman who is rumored to have multiple lovers, including an old man whom she used for money. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Wow, that definitely threw me off balance. Even the crowd could not believe that she said something like that. Anyway, Ms. Mason, the woman with the kids, says that her soon-to-be ex-husband is nothing but a mummy's boy and he can't stand up to his meddling mother.
Well, let me just ask you, Ms. Mason, is this an outfit that you would wear, say, if you were going out with Mr. Mason on a date or something?
No, Your Honor. This was clothes that I took at home.
And wear to the club.
Now, I never wore it to the club, but I will wear it to the club.
You will?
Yes.
Okay.
So, since I met her, it's been nothing but drama, promiscuity.
Looks like Ms. Upshaw was not wrong for saying what she initially said. There's no way on earth Ms. Mason would actually wear that out of the house. I mean, what is she? A stripper? She can't be serious.
Your Honor, this young lady and him took it amongst. They said I found out they was married on Facebook.
What? Jerome, hand me that.
They didn't answer the phone for me for 2 weeks.
This is
my
what?
friend brought a Facebook post that was posted on Facebook. A young lady that I know brought up to my house said, your son married.
But why we gotta tell her everything? Me and her not together. Me and her son are together.
I'm sorry, but what did they just say? How do you get married and not tell your mother? Now they're making Ms. Upshaw look like she's crazy. It's very much her business if her son is getting married to someone she does not know.
I want to take care of my kid and I want to be there. That's all I want to do.
So, Mom, you shaking your head because you don't believe that these children are his.
Your Honor, I give the twins the benefit of the doubt of being my grandkids more than I do any other.
Let's start with Kayla.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to start with Kayla.
Yes, ma'am.
That's hilarious. Ms. Upshaw says that she doesn't feel Caleb, one of the kids in question, does not belong to her son because he has an old soul, and she also feels like the baby belongs to an old man she used to sleep with for money. I wonder what she's going to say next.
You had some older man that you were in a relationship with, and I want to be clear because she says sleep with an old man for money. Now I want to make sure I'm clear. Were you dating an older man?
No, he was just a friend.
So you're denying that there was ever a sexual relationship with the older man, or was there?
No, there was a sexual relationship. Yes, it was.
Oh, okay.
That's honestly not shocking coming from his mouth. The battle here has always been between Ms. Upshaw and Ms. Mason. Mr. Mason admits to knowing that she slept with an old man, but still believes he is the father of the child. I guess we'll see.
I gave her the benefit of the doubt because twins runs on his daddy's side of the family. His daddy brother got a set of twins, and his grandma and sister got a set of twins. So I gave her the benefit of the doubt. Then somebody comes telling me this other guy baby. And I did all this involve myself and them my babies. I love them twins.
She must really love those twins if she's getting emotional just talking about them. She says that she's built a bond with the twins and it would crush her heart if the results revealed that she is not the grandmother.
The twins come from the mother producing too many eggs. So she releases a bunch of eggs, the sperm's there, they make 2 babies. As far as the father of the baby's concerned, he can bring nothing to the union with the mom to make twins at that interaction. So they can be in his family. He could pass it on to grandchildren, but he could not cause her to have twins.
Ms. Upshaw's heart might be getting crushed. The expert judge Lauren brought in to talk about twins says that twins being formed have nothing to do with the male and that it's usually the female who's responsible for twins being formed. That didn't sit right with Ms. Upshaw.
Dramatized, like she said very fake. Like she's very fake.
Let me tell you something, y'all. Both of them fake. I'm gonna keep it like that. Both of them fake. I'm just sick and tired of it. It's just like I'm not with the drama. I'm not with it. I'm just ready to get the DNA test over with. All 4 of mine. I'm gonna do what I gotta do. Take care of, be in that life.
I'm not even surprised they're about to get divorced. Having a mother-in-law like Ms. Upshaw would definitely drive you crazy. Mr. Upshaw is tired of their drama. All he wants to know is if the kids are his or not.
Listen, there's one more baby.
Yes, ma'am.
Brooklyn, 1 month old. Beautiful little girl. You have doubts surrounding the paternity of Brooklyn as well.
Ma'am, young, this is my first time ever seeing that little baby right here.
You've never seen her?
Never.
No.
Never.
No.
Then
You never saw her either? Did you have it?
Ain't say me, I'm talking about mom.
Did you ever have an opportunity to see her?
Ma'am, on my way, the day when I taught the show and I had talked to someone who about the show, my son had talked to her. I got on the train, I was going downtown.
Once again, it's really not shocking that she's seeing that baby for the first time. They kept their marriage a secret. I doubt there's nothing they can't keep from here. Oh well, enough with their drama. Here are the results from the DNA test.
Mr. Mason, you are the father. Are you ready for the next result, Miss Mason?
Yes.
When it comes to 1 month old Brooklyn Mason, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Mason, you are the father. When it comes to 2-year-old twins, Carrie and Kawan Mason, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Mason, you are the father.
Woo.
Ms. Fisher is in the courtroom today to prove that the defendant, Mr. Stewart, is her daughter's biological father. Mr. Stewart says that he knows Ms. Fisher was with multiple partners during the window of conception and also says that she's trying to pin the baby on him because she knows that he is a good father. Well, here's how the whole thing started.
Miss Fisher, you're here to prove that Mr. Stewart is your daughter Kalia's biological father.
Yes, Sean.
You state that your daughter has a serious medical condition and it is imperative that you know the father's medical history. Is that correct?
Yes, Sean.
Well, clearly all Ms. Fisher wants out of this case is to know who her baby's father is. Her daughter has a condition, and she wants to know if the father has the same condition so she can give her daughter the necessary care and medication that she needs.
A week after we started messing around, she come out and she showed me a pregnancy test. I'm like, it's not my baby.
So a week after you all started having a sexual relationship, she brings you a pregnancy test and says she's pregnant?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor.
So you don't believe you're the father of her child?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Fisher, tell me what happened.
I woke up one morning, I wasn't feeling well, and I've been pregnant before, so I pretty much knew before I took the test I was pregnant.
Can she really blame him? They got into a sexual relationship and after a week she says she's pregnant? Even I would not accept the baby. That right there looks like she's actually trying to pin the baby on Mr. Stewart.
After this is over, did the relationship continue?
Yes, he was just at my house like a week and a half ago.
I got bored. I got bored,
You got bored?
Yes, Your Honor.
When you get bored, you go over Miss Fisher's house and have unprotected sex?
Sometime.
He did not just say that to Judge Lauren. He better tread carefully. He is about to get on Judge Lauren's nerves and he is not going to like that. Oh well, Ms. Fisher admits that they were together in bed just a week before the court case. They must really love each other's company.
What do you know and how do you know it?
Well, she named another potential father as the biological father, and then on top of that, another man signed the birth certificate.
Wait a minute. She named another man as the biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Which man is this?
Mr. Kern.
Mr. Kern?
Yes, Your Honor.
He's in court today, but the second part of your statement was...
This doesn't even make any sense. She initially said that he was not around around when she gave birth to the child. Her daughter has another man's name on the birth certificate, and now she's saying that he chose to give her daughter his last name? What in the world is going on?
So, Miss Fisher, Mr. Kern, who we're going to hear from in a second, let's talk about your relationship with him. Were you intimate with him as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you intimate with him during the time you were also intimate with Mr. Stewart?
Yes, ma'am.
Was this during the window of conception?
Yes.
Did you use protection with Mr.?
No.
Well, newsflash, that doesn't count, Ms. Fisher. That doesn't count. As long as you slept with him without using protection, there's a high chance he could be a possible father. But why on earth would she be sleeping with 2 different men during the window of conception? That's just wrong.
Biological father, were you aware of this?
Yes, ma'am. I'm not denying that I'm not her father. I'm denying because Miss Fisher, she always been lying to me, you know what I'm saying? Because we already done went through this one time with an older child.
What do you mean?
We started inboxing each other on Facebook.
It always starts with Facebook, don't it, Jerome?
Yeah, we started inboxing each other, you know what I'm saying? Then we got real cornered, you know. We decided we wanted to.
Wow, Ms. Fisher must really be on her game. The other man she had a sexual relationship with walked into the courtroom and said that this is not his first rodeo with Ms. Fisher. She did this same thing with her first child. What a woman. Paternity issue with 2 kids? Come on.
No, I was devastated. I was crushed about it.
So now there is a paternity question as it relates to Kalia, another baby. Were you intimate with Miss Fisher during the window of time in which Kalia was conceived?
Yes, Your Honor, I was.
Without using protection?
Yes, Your Honor.
This is just ridiculous. Were you all in a relationship? Were you commit? What was it?
Man, it was just, you know, I know you listen to songs, right?
You better listen to that advice. Seems like every time he listens to it, he ends up in a paternity issue with Ms. Fisher. Oh well, as you'd expect, he and Ms. Fisher were not in a romantic relationship. It was all about kicking in bed and having a good time.
And so right now she indicated the doctors were trying to determine whether or not a surgery would be needed.
So they would put a patch over that hole and try to keep the oxygenated and deoxygenated blood from touching.
How is it genetically linked, if at all?
So that's a difficult answer. There's lots of factors that come into play. There's toxins that can be exposed, the child can be exposed to in utero.
That's right, the stakes are very high and this is no joke at all. Her daughter has a serious medical condition and she needs to find the father so she can avoid any catastrophic situation. The crazy part is none of these men have any heart conditions.
It's a shame that you're running around having sex with no protection and making babies and still doing it, where you could potentially make another one and be in the same position as this one. This is not a game. Miss Fisher, when you hear this and you talk about wanting your child to know who her biological father is, do you understand now the part you have to play in that lack of knowing?
Yes, Your Honor.
Let's hope all the scolding goes into their heads. None of them men want to accept that they are the fathers of the kids. I'm sure the DNA results will reveal the truth. Let's see what they have to say.
Mr. Kern, you are not the father. Mr. Stewart, you are not the father.
After finding out she had a terminal illness, Ms. Holshoe seeks to uncover the true identity of who her biological father is, only to find out the most shocking surprises on her journey. It's one roller coaster to the next in this episode.
Miss Holshoe, you claim your mother had an affair with the defendant's father, and today you're in court to prove that he is your biological father. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Miss Howard, you and your sisters say Miss Holshoe is a delusional troublemaker whose promiscuous mother destroyed your family and ruined your home. You say Miss Holshoe is dragging your father's name through the mud, and there is absolutely no way she is related to you. Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Now things get really heated in a matter of seconds. It felt like they all hated themselves from their previous lives. Apparently, the alleged father had passed away, but his daughters, for sure, weren't going to welcome Miss Holshoe with open arms.
And also, I'm in the obituary as his daughter.
You are?
Yes, I am, ma'am.
That was a big mistake that her name was put into the obituary. Our father's sister did that.
No.
And did not tell any of us about it. Our father didn't even mention her.
Ms. Holshoe found out she had a real dad in the most awkward way. Trust me, your mind isn't going to believe what you're about to hear. Her stepdad and mom were having an argument. Boom! The bomb drops and she can't believe what she hears.
Because my stepdad was drunk and he was fighting with my mother, and he said, well, who do you think your father is? And so after that, my mother told me, and she took me and introduced me to DL, and we had a relationship.
Now the sisters, for sure, weren't going easy on Ms. Holshoe. They felt she was an imposter who was trying to spoil their family's name. They stood their ground and denied every single thing Ms. Holshoe said in the courtroom. Trust me, it was quite a show.
I was 19 at the time.
So you remember this day?
Oh, with clearly, like
like it was yesterday. They were sitting in a booth with my dad across from her and her mother. I was standing at the end, and he said, I just brought you guys here to let you know that she's your sister. And that was the one and only time that my dad ever mentioned her till the day he died.
Some really interesting stories started to fly around the courtroom. Everyone was trying to air out their minds and beliefs. In the process, some nasty revelations jumped out. Trust me, they weren't nice, and some of it was just super fishy. But Ms. Holshoe stood her ground by saying,
My father had gone to at the bar where her mother was working and caught her cheating on him. That gave me
No topic.
the thought that obviously her mother probably has no idea who any of her children belong to.
It's not my fault you guys don't want to know me. It's not my fault that your dad had sex with my mother and I'm a product of that.
The courtroom was pretty heated up at this point, with both parties throwing shade at each other. Another one of their sisters walks into the courtroom. Surprisingly, she's on Ms. Holshoe's side. She believes that there is a chance that Ms. Holshoe is her sister. Now that's interesting, wouldn't you say?
I believe that she is.
You do? Tell the court why.
Because my father told me that she was.
She just needs a family, Your Honor, because her whole family, she's shut out. They've shut her out because she's such a devil.
Tell me about that moment when you were informed or your father told you.
Well, we were out one day, and I was about 19, and he said that he wanted me to meet one of his girlfriends. Okay, I had met several of them before.
Now she had quite a lot to say. Not only did she back up Ms. Holshoe's claim of being their sister, she also said their father was no saint. He was also messing around with other women. Wow.
He is our hero to this day. And I'm not going to bash him, but yes, he loved women, and that's just the way it was. Some men hunt, some men don't.
Okay, well said. Now your sisters seem to think that Miss Holshoe's just trying to stir the pot. She's trying to get into your family. You two are best friends, and you all want to be sisters. And
well, it's time to spill the beans on whether she was really his daughter or if it was all a joke. All eyes are on the judge as she gets ready to give the final verdict.
It has been determined by this court that the probability of half-siblingship between Diana Howard and Misty Lynn Holshoe is 98.1%.
This is Ms. Austin's third time on paternity court. She's no stranger to proving her children's paternity to Mr. Wallace, who once again has doubts that her 9-month-old son is his. Mind you, she's pregnant with a third child by him, and she and Mr. Wallace aren't even together. It's a crazy case, and here is how it begins.
Last time we was here, everything started out okay. But we all knew that wasn't gonna last long. Roniel Wallace was still bouncing back from me and Kendrelyn. I had enrolled in school, but I never did go because I had got pregnant once again with Roniel. And she got pregnant with her baby, with her son. And as you can see now, once again, I'm pregnant again.
Seems like these three are in a polyamorous relationship and don't even know it. Two women taking turns getting pregnant for one man is just so silly. And every single time this happens, Mr. Wallace doubts he is responsible for the pregnancies. Why then is he messing around with women he doesn't trust?
Because she's very promiscuous. When we was together, I had installed, it was like spyware on her phone. They swear they would duplicate her text messages and call log and send a copy to my email. And again, for about the 5th, 6th time, I called her texting different men.
Didn't see that one coming? If he truly believes she's promiscuous, why does he keep having children with her? One child wasn't enough, so you had a second, and now there's a third on the way. Yet you call her a slut. The same woman who might soon be the mother of 3 of your kids? Crazy.
If I'm dead, so why you keep on sleeping with me? Why? 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 I'm pregnant again. Why? 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 Why?
Easy access.
Why? Why? You say that about her?
right.
Yeah.
So
Why
now,
do you keep allowing me to sleep?
I'm gonna keep on just because I know that you with her.
Okay, this is serious. Ms. Austin's question is very valid. Why did he keep sleeping with her if she thought she was promiscuous? And why on earth is his girlfriend, Ms. Roberts, so mad? Was she really going to hit her in front of a judge?
Because I was hurt
But if you
by trying to get back to Aunt Roniel for the things that he had done to me.
And so at the end of the day, you all can see now that 2 wrongs never make a right. And then you were wrong for being pregnant and talking to other men and expecting him to then believe your child is his child automatically.
Cheating on your partner is no payback for their infidelity. It will cost you 2 at the end of the day, as we can see with Ms. Austin and Mr. Wallace. 3 potential babies together, yet they don't see eye to eye. What a terrible situation.
I feel like we have certain features, but you can't just base it all off look.
They have the same chin.
Let me see that. Is that evidence you'd like to present?
Yes.
Okay. Walk me through what these pieces of evidence are. The first piece is
Chin. You see that chin? Look at their feet.
So you say their feet are alike?
Yeah.
But they don't change your mind?
No, ma'am. It's just like you go to a police lineup. They put you in there with 6 other men who look just like you.
Really? His feet and chin? Those are the features you chose to compare? It's valid, but kind of funny. At the end of the day, though, as Mr. Wallace said, it's not really about the looks, is it?
A family. And I did what I had to do to move into the apartment, Your Honor. I do everything for him. I stood by his side when he had his apartment. He went through a lot, and I was there by his side. Never left, never left. And I could have left. I could have walked away. I had a family. Like, I could have walked away, but I didn't. I stood by his side in earth school. He left me. He keeps leaving me.
You can't but feel pity for Ms. Austin. She loves this man. Yet he keeps treating her like trash and walking away every time. This information and the fact that they have been here 3 times show how irresponsible the man is. It is such a shame.
He left my house. He leaves my house and goes spends the night out at Kendrick's house, with his stuff still being at my house until I took it to his mom's house, and that's where his stuff been at ever since. He just came back to my house not long ago like 3 days ago, because him and Kendrick had a fight.
When you just broke down a moment ago, I felt for you.
These women are at fault too, letting Mr. Wallace waltz in and out of their lives whenever he pleases. If none of them stands up to put an end to this mess, they might just find themselves on paternity court for a 4th time.
It's determined today that Mr. Wallace is Ronell's father. Is that what you're hoping?
Yes.
You are?
Yes.
And Mr. Wallace, what are you hoping for today?
I'm just agitated.
You feel agitated?
Yes.
Tell me.
Because of the bull crap performance she put on. Look, well, I need to walk out.
Whoa. That explosion was unexpected. Mr. Wallace insists Ms. Austin is putting on a show and Judge Lauren is falling for it. He's angry because the judge is taking her side. This is a whole new level of reaction.
I'm not gonna let you leave here thinking I'm taking anybody's side. I'm asking the questions that need to be asked. Now we're gonna get you these results because you came here because you wanted to know, right?
Yes.
Are you Ronell's father?
Great. Let's find out what the DNA results say and put an end to this drama.
Mr. Wallace, you are Ronell's father.